War Rapport family, we are here. Georgia State, Auburn, post game. Sigh of relief. Dog, we really almost lost to Georgia State. Like, can we just pause and say, glad for the win. Georgia State fans, if you are watching right now, I don't think that was a catch by John Samuel Shanker.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Doesn't mean it would have saved the game.
It doesn't mean it would have saved the game, but the point is, I don't. If you're here to complain about that, then you have a legitimate gripe about one thing, right? Outside of that, we won. All right, who wants to cue this up first? Who wants first bite of the apple about what we just witnessed? C, go for it.
I have never been so relieved with a struggle win ever. It could have been a lot worse, man. We really see how important McClain is to this defense.
Oh, please talk about Zacoby.
I think we have discovered like how truly important and an MVP of that defense he is.
Can I? No, I'm not gonna say this. We normally post a thing we're asking who is the most important player. I haven't put a defensive player on there. I'm going to put Zacoby McClain on there for this one. I don't think he's gonna win. I think there's gonna be a lot of TJ Findleys, but I'm definitely putting Zacoby up for the player of the game.
I mean, all the things they were able to do successfully on the ground game, from the quarterback escaping the pocket to just insert one of their random running backs. Mm-hmm. All of that came to a screeching halt. All of it came to a screeching halt. And just putting him back in the lineup made that big of a difference. And it kept getting the ball back to our offense to try to do something. Now we was able to stop the bleeding on one side of the ball. Then the inevitable happened. I was going to start calling, and we had a joke. We was going to start calling this coaching staff Captain Savabo because there was no reason for him to still be in the game. Then Finley comes in, and really and truly, I felt like he should have started the third quarter. They should have started with him in the third quarter. I didn't like that he had to come in towards the end of the game with all the pressure mounting to try to save us from this embarrassing win. Yet, under the same type of pressure, under the same type of coming from the defense, coming from the magnitude of what was at stake, he was able to make plays. And we started hearing names we hadn't heard all season from Canyon, Capers, Hudson continuing to make catches. The ball started being spread around. It wasn't focused on particular just three receivers. Different guys were getting the ball now. So to see that and to drive the field on 99 plays to end the game and to complete a 2-point conversion, hats off to him, man. Hats off to him. I'm happy for the win. I feel like we left this game with a lot more questions than we wanted to have. I think we wanted some more questions answered about this offense. I do know one thing for sure, though. I do feel that we have ourselves a QB. That's how I feel.
I'm not ready to go there yet, but I will let everybody react to that. Mike G, go for it. What you got, man?
So there's hope for this coaching staff yet. They pulled both. And, the question we've been asking for the last 3 games has been, what is it going to take to sit him? Now, in the aftermath of this, I'm sure my Twitter mentions will be off the chain with this offensive line. TJ felt the same pressure, if not more, and still somehow went out there and kept his eyes downfield. And when given opportunity, like under the circumstances, he just made some plays, right? Now, he wasn't perfect, but that's never what we've asked of our quarterback is perfection. Now, he missed a throw to Kobe in the end zone. But honestly, for a guy who hasn't been working with the ones much, I don't know how much more we could have asked for him in that situation. To come in and literally drive us 98 yards down the field for the win, manage the clock, do what he needed to do. Jarquez Hunter showed up big to just get us off the goal line, right? Like, I'm looking at this and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, now we started, he came in the game, instantly some different receivers were being targeted. Not your favorite. He hit Shanker. It looked like he was locked in on Capers for a little bit.
He was definitely locked in on Capers
Right,
his first couple
right.
of drives.
He hit Malcolm Johnson, he hit Canyon, and he hit Shedrick Jackson. On that drive, he hit 5 different receivers to get us down the field for the win. Because you know what? All that mattered was getting the ball in the end zone. That's it. So, congratulations, Auburn, on the win, I guess.
Go ahead. My bad. I thought you were done.
At the end of the day, I tweeted at halftime, look how different this run defense looks with just Jacoby in there. You got to remember, we were missing probably our 2 best players on defense in this game. What we learned is that we're not as deep behind those guys as we thought we were.
For sure.
Just having one of them in changes the complexion of the game significantly. I mean, on the ground, Georgia State did absolutely nothing after the half. Mm-hmm. And defensively, we did not give up a single point after the half. Can't be understated, right? So having Jacoby in there, is important. So Georgia State can thank the refs from the Penn State game for a lot of the points that they scored in this game. Almost all the yards they gained on the ground, as it was a different run defense after the first half. Offensively, we saw more of the playmakers touching the ball after the half. Guys who just get it to the man and let them make plays in space. That's what I felt like Finley did successfully. And a couple times falling to the ground, keeping your eyes downfield and just making the play that needs to be made. That's it. So he showed some, we talked about, if, under pressure, he's a statue. Well, you know what? He may not be as fleet-footed as Bo, but his vision is so much better. He doesn't need as much time. He escaped enough that he had to, and then he got the ball to somebody. That's it.
As Jazzy Joe said this here, appreciate the super chat. How about the statue scrambling for yardage? Yeah. Laughing out loud. Let's go.
Yeah. Now listen, a lot was made of it, and once they build a game plan for him, and he's not coming in to save the day, I'm telling you, this could look a lot different. This offense could look a lot different with a QB who can stand back there. He's going to take some sacks every once in a while. You're just going to have to deal with that. He did while he was in it. Instead of making a bad play, he just took a sack and went down, and then lived to see the next play. Don't try to save the day on every play. Take what the defense is giving you. And I'm telling you, his field vision was night and day from what we were watching for 2.5 quarters. I was shocked. I had just tweeted, looks like we're going to live it out with Bo. And then the next drive, they put TJ Finley in. I was like, I stand corrected.
Yeah, I was definitely shocked at the timing of when Bo Nix came out of the game. When he came back out, when TJ came into the game, I was like, oh, wow, I think they were just trying to give Bo another shot to see if he could do it. They needed to do something to give us a spark. And TJ was definitely that spark. The question here from I Am Hop is, Finley the starter for LSU? I think TBD. I don't think Brian Harsin has made his mind up about that yet, in my opinion. Let me say something about this, because I definitely want to give props to TJ Finley for having a good final drive. He didn't look good the rest of the drives before that, though. He missed guys that were open downfield. He definitely almost missed Kobe in the back. He definitely missed Kobe for a touchdown earlier. So he didn't look great, right? So not heaping glowing praises upon TJ Finley for the game he played. He did enough to be able to get us the win. What I do like about TJ Finley is, for whatever reason, he was more capable of maneuvering from within the pocket than Bo Nix has been for 2.5 games. He just within the pocket, right? Like, not necessarily trying to escape the pocket, not necessarily, but when he had to escape the pocket, he went. I'm confused as to why TJ Finley shows more escapability. I think they drilled into Bo's head so much during the offseason to try to work from within the pocket, make quick decisions, that he lost a little bit of what made him special, which was his legs. He hasn't used them to this point in any significant way to make great plays out of doo-doo like he had previously. And if he's not going to be special, then he can't be in there. That's just my opinion. I said this before. I think Bo Nix is a special talent. If he ain't using the special stuff and it's just going to be his arm, that's not going to be enough. That's not going to be enough for him to be able to remain to be the starter at Auburn University. So do I think TJ Finley is the answer? No. Before we scored that touchdown in our chat, I was like, we still need a quarterback. We don't have a QB yet that I am confident in that we can march into Death Valley. We can march into College Station. And Georgia can come to town. Bama can come to town. And I feel confident that the offense is going to play well.
Yeah, I think prepare him as the number one.
That's fine. I still, regardless of all of that, prepare him as the number. He missed wide open guys today, just like Bo Nix mixed wide open guys. That's the bottom line of what I saw from TJ Finley today. The plays that he made were read number one was wide open. He hit him. Wonderful. The other plays were the off-time stuff where he's falling down and he still makes a play, or he almost gets sacked, scrambles around, and finds Shed for the touchdown. It wasn't a bunch of like, I'm off my first read, go on to my second read, throw a laser. Every time he did that, he still missed the guy. So again, I don't have supreme confidence in TJ Finley to go
seeing the guy.
That's fine. He still has to complete the pass.
That's true. So he did enough of that for us to win the game. I'm saying
not saying any of that.
In this situation, I think he did everything more than we could have expected coming in the game cold in the third quarter, right? From and with the play calling that was being made and just doing enough to save us. I'm confident that if you give him a week to prepare as the starter, let him work with the receivers that's actually going to be in there, our offense looked completely different by the end of the game, guys. Shedrick went out for a bunch. Finally, all these guys that have been buried on the depth chart we're seeing on the last drive. Capers, Canyon, the timing, some of the things that you can work out. I'm focused on his touch may not have been there completely, but just being able to see it is a huge improvement over, because now all the options are a possibility. With Bo, the options were so limited because he was clearly only throwing to Shanker and Shedrick for 2 quarters. The other guys didn't even exist on the field. And Finley, I was like, wow, at least he's seeing it, win or lose. I think Finley has earned at least some strong consideration to start LSU tonight.
Yeah, I don't disagree. He deserves some strong consideration. My point is that for him to be a guy I'm confident in, he's got to hit 1 or 2 of those. You got to hit 1 or 2 of those. If he had hit 1 or 2 of those deep shots that were open that he overthrew, then I'd have more confidence going into the next game. Super chat here. Appreciate you, Centauri Calhoun. So are we more comfortable with TJ Finley now? I'm saying no, but apparently Mike G is more comfortable. He feels like he is.
Absolutely. I see 3 years ago. I'm more comfortable to him than what we have.
Yeah, I'm
more comfortable than what we have. I'm not saying when I say he's the guy, I'm saying I believe what we saw out of Finley is correctable. You can correct that, right? Can that improve?
You can correct a lot of things with a lot of people. Again, so
did we correct Bo?
But the issue with Bo was still accuracy. TJ Finley had an issue with accuracy. So, yes, we can correct going to the right reads with Bo. Yes, but are we going to correct his accuracy? Clearly not. After 2.5 years, no, we're not going to correct his accuracy. He's not going to be more accurate a thrower of the football. Can we game plan better for what TJ Finley does? Possibly. I don't know. I haven't seen a game plan that I've loved out of this coaching staff yet. So we're asking them to do a better job of putting a game plan together that's going to take advantage of what a person does well. They did none of that for Bo Nix. They didn't give him a bunch of design runs except for some quarterback dives, which I don't understand that when he's more of a speed guy. I just don't fully get what the game plans have been. Another super chat here, Cleveland Wellness Check. How's your guys' blood pressure right now? Got my t-shirt the other day. Thanks again. Appreciate the support for everything that you've been doing, Cleveland, as far as supporting the channel. Blood pressure is fine. but I really want to see us perform better out the gate. If you're just joining us, we are live reacting. Georgia State goes down in a very dramatic fashion. Smoke Monday gets a little retribution at that final pick there at the end of the game. TJ Finley comes in and saves the day, leading us on a 98-yard drive. Opened up by a really good run. So let's give some props to your guy. Was in there the first good run that happened, Jarquez Hunter, right? Jarquez Hunter out the gate, 19 yards after Tank Bigsby fumbles the ball. There was something in a focus standpoint from our starters that were out there offensively that the coaches had enough of seeing. And that goes from the wide receiver position. That goes from that fumble from Tank. That goes from Bo Nix. They basically said, y'all don't want to win this game. Give me somebody who wants to win. Go in here and make some plays. Canyon looked determined to make some plays when he came in there. Capers looked determined to make plays when he went in there. Kobe Hudson played well the entire game. He was probably the only consistent starter. Him and Shanker were probably the only consistent starters from beginning to end that looked like they showed up to play football for the offense the entire time. I don't think that Jarquez Hunter played poorly by any stretch of the imagination. He didn't get a lot of touches, but they were clearly, from a Georgia State standpoint, saying, you guys are not going to run the football on us. They were just going to come downhill against the run repeatedly. Centauri Calhoun, Super Chat, appreciate you, said Dede is the best QB we have in our roster. Still yet to be seen. I don't know that for sure. I do know he, in my opinion, I said this in the beginning before the season started, that to me, Demetrius Davis, from a skill standpoint, is the best option because he is the best of both worlds. He has the ability to stay within the pocket and keep a cool head, yet to be seen against a quality Division I Power 5 school, whether or not that translates. And he has the escapability in the legs. So from a just pure skill, I think Demetrius Davis is best, but we don't know what he's going to do when the pressure's on, the lights come on. Another super chat here, and I'm going to get to you like you got a comment here, Mike. Real question, what does it take to get Dede in? I know the experience isn't there, but he's the most gifted. Oh, we just talked about this. So we're talking about the same thing. Appreciate you, AU Confidential, for coming on board as a member, as well as Alabama Prep. Haven't seen you in a while, joining with a membership there. Mike G, go ahead. Look like you had a comment you wanted to say.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the deal, right? We're having this whole discussion about talent, experience over talent.
Mm-hmm.
And in this game, talent won over experience, 100%. Tank didn't have a good night.
No.
He had 18 touches for 60 yards in this game. Jarquez had 10 touches for 62 yards. He was the better back in this game. He didn't look like himself to me. He just didn't look like himself to me. But
who are we saying didn't look like themselves? Tank
didn't look like himself
to
me. So
I
question whether there's something physically going on there. He didn't look like himself. But credit to Georgia State.
For sure. They played super hard.
Yeah,
they
watched the tape.
They came prepared.
Yeah, load the box and stop Tank. That's it. That's what they did. And then when they do that, you have to be able to hit passes here and there to loosen them up. The quarterback we had to start the game wasn't doing that at a high clip. So they just never stopped. They stuck with their defensive game plan, which was 8 in the box minimum, right? And make Bo Nix beat you. It seemed like the light turned on for our coaches midway through the third quarter. And they were just like, listen, he can't hit these passes. If he can't hit a high enough clip of them or choose the right receiver, like, I mean, and you got to discount almost some of the passes that Bo completed. You got to discount because the receiver that he chose to throw it to was still the wrong read. Short of the sticks, like, it was not a good game. It was a terrible game by Bo. And I know
I don't disagree.
Come in here and accuse me of Bo passion, but like, he got pulled. So I don't think anybody on the coaching staff disagrees with me. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at these stats and I'm thinking, okay, you put Finley in. He throws 11 less passes than Bo, right? He go almost, he's averaging 6.1 yards per pass.
How many passes did Finley throw overall?
16. He was
16. So over the 10 that we talked about in was that the facts or not question whether or not he would throw more than 10 passes?
10. Yeah. He quite clearly had to get more than 10 because that's the only way we're going to come back in this game.
For sure.
Throwing the ball. Georgia State was not going to let us do what we did.
Run it down the field.
Yeah, coming out the half. So they put Finley in, and he I think the touch things will just be cleaned up with reps. Personally, timing. He went out there and he just had to play football and try to win this game. That's what this was for Finley. Trying to get into the rhythm of this is extremely. I need people to understand how extremely hard it is to do what Finley just did. Come off the bench cold. You've thrown like 7 passes in this season in in-game action, and then save your team from annihilation. And yes, losing to Georgia State is annihilation by any definition. It's annihilation, right? It was a very, very difficult thing to do. He showed no panic.
For sure.
Right.
That's the one thing I will say about him. His poise was, I don't know how you could be less bothered than TJ Finley was when he was in the game. He was just like, all right, cool. This is what we're doing now. All right.
And
like even after he scored the game-winning touchdown, he turns around and he's like, no, we're going for 2, right? Like his presence of mind was like, we still got stuff we got to do here. Let's go get into our next set. He didn't get too pumped. He was just ready to go out there and execute the 2-point conversion.
Yeah. Listen, Gus would have died on that hill with Bo. Nobody can convince me otherwise. He definitely would have died on it. And I don't disagree. I was starting to get worried that Harsin was going to make the same mistake.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was like, oh no, another coach is going to bet his career on Auburn.
That was encouraging. And to me, that was what was the most
You're muted, or something's going on with the mic there. See.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, something's going on with your mic, brother.
There you go. There we go.
That was the most encouraging to me, is that this coaching staff was willing to do what it was going to take to win, even if it means going against the guy who you felt was critical to your game plan.
Right.
It was encouraging. It was encouraging to see them do it with Tank. It was encouraging to see them do it with other guys who they felt were not really getting it done. And I was surprised to see Tank actually playing in this game, because he does not look like himself. Yeah. So I would have liked to have seen other guys get more opportunities who have pretty much earned them. I mean, we know who that guy is, Hunter, right? I would like to have seen him get more carries today, because it just didn't. Tank looked like he should not have been playing. But I was just happy to see this coaching staff make the decision to do what was necessary. I felt like they should have made it a little sooner at the QB position, but they did make it. So that is encouraging.
Yeah, so a couple super chats here. James Finch says, where are Lee Hunter and Dylan Brooks? I don't have the first clue what's going on with them and their decision to say true freshmen do not play for Auburn. Big Blue, thank goodness we have a coach willing to yank the QB and give our team a chance to win the game. TJ gets redemption in Death Valley next week. So let's talk about this for just a second. I'm going to get one more super chat in here from Lee, who says, took Bo out of the game. When will Bobo actually get his head in the game? That's a very good question. I still don't like the game plan that we have come in to the games with, or the adjustments of those game plans offensively. But let's talk about this. We talked about the coaches on our side getting an opportunity to get TJ in first team reps, It's going to be completely different when a defense knows TJ is the guy coming to, how they're going to plan to stop Auburn. So it's going to be different. It's not as if we are only ones that get to adjust. I just, again, props to TJ for winning the game. This isn't time to bash TJ. What it is time to say is, like, I'm still not out here like pom-poms, let's go TJ, because I don't feel like from the standpoint of accuracy down the field, he did much better. Like, I get all of the read recognition, You still have to make the throw. One more super chat here. CJ with the Ram says, did you see Bo standing outside the huddle on the sideline? Body language was bad. Bo's body language definitely did not look as if he was happy to be there once that decision was made that he was no longer, like, he wasn't a cheerleader on the sideline for his team the way that I thought he should have been.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to give Bo just a little bit of reprieve on that, because he's a human being, right?
For sure,
and like, listen, I know it doesn't feel good to get yanked out of the game. I want to believe in my heart that he still wanted Auburn to win in spite of him being benched. I hope that was the case. So this isn't kind of like a new thing with Bo, right? Like, he has shown some attitude issues on the sideline.
He doesn't like to lose in any manner. So losing your job is still like winning the game. Yes, I'm sure he'll say the right things in the post-game presser if he gets up there and talks about, I'm glad for us to get out of here with a win. Whoever interviews him next, he's going to say some of the right things. But yeah, to your point,
Right.
Mike, of course he
It's
doesn't
a
feel good
bittersweet.
about it.
It's a bittersweet moment for him because
Yeah.
yes, you won, but what does that mean for me and everything I've been working so hard to achieve in the offseason?
Right.
Yeah.
I would also say, listen, weeks ago, in response to what Ike was saying about the game plan, how the game plan was called for Bo, I questioned weeks ago. I said, listen, I'm not sure we have the right quarterback in the game for the way that they're calling the game.
For sure.
If you're going to call the game this way, I'm not sure this is the right guy. And they have really not shown any flexibility in how they want to play.
Right.
Right. During Penn State, it was clear that we needed to go run heavy. They could not stop our run game. Yet we stuck with balance for whatever, instead of just going into, okay, we just got to win. Versus Georgia State, it was like, all right, like this is extremely embarrassing. We just got to win. Suddenly it got to do what we got to do mode to just pull this out. And you know what that included? It wasn't a change of the game plan. It was a change of the quarterback. It was a change of personnel, and not just the quarterback. Think about how drastically different that personnel in that last drive.
That was a hockey line change they pulled those last couple drives.
It was the equivalent of pulling your whole starting lineup in basketball.
Yeah.
And changing out everybody but the point guard for a change of pace. Or going with your big lineup versus the small lineup, right?
Yeah.
Right. I just thought there would never be a day when we would see that. But the desperation that it felt like, C was saying he felt like it was going to take some sort of disaster for us to pull him, right? And he was close. It just
I'm about to say we were flirting with disaster in this game.
Yeah, it took a near disaster for them to pull this dude, sit him down, and now, this might be, listen, whether Bo finishes his career at Auburn or not, this might be one of the best things that ever happened to him, right? He needed to see the bench. He needed to see the bench, right? And
this might be the wake-up call he needs if he's going to play. If he has a hope of playing better, hopefully this was the time where he goes and looks himself in the mirror and is like, if you want to be the quarterback for Auburn University, you got to do better than this guy.
Yeah, can't wait to see that interview this week.
AU Confidential, thanks for the super chat there. Appreciate the support. Yeah. Brian chatting from the press room, he said there was a clear difference in the first half and second half. The defense got corrected. So let's talk about the game plan Georgia State came out. Let me go ahead and get this super chat in. James Finch, I know Smoke had the pick six to end the game, but are we going to admit an average safety constantly out of place? Listen, Smoke is one of those guys where he should just be a box. If he puts on a couple more pounds, he probably should be a linebacker. He's a box safety. He's not. There we go. So, somebody said the exact same thing, Caveman Life Coach. He's a linebacker. He's a box guy. He's not your deep middle field guy. He can get picks every now and then, but that's just not his thing, right? But Georgia State came out in the second half and tried to just absolutely drain the clock. Like they refused to throw the ball in the second half of this game. And I think that was a critical mistake. Well, they did it in the first half.
Well, because the run game was working. You got to remember that because he wasn't like he was accurate either. He was basically
throwing to wide open guys.
Because we were looking for the run because that's what they were doing so well. But once that stopped, there goes the passing game as well.
And that's Jacoby McClain coming in the game. They are just assignment sound when Jacoby was in there. And this is what we talked about what I talked about in the pregame. That
scares me for next year.
In the preview, yes, we got to figure that.
That scares the heck out of me for next year.
Wesley Steiner has got to figure that out. Like he's supposed to be a super intelligent player. I have not seen him play an intelligent football game yet. He is out of position a lot as a middle linebacker. Wooten is not a natural middle linebacker, so we've got to figure some things out in the linebacking core. James Stallings, another super chat here. There is no way Finley does not start next week. I don't know if they saw enough from TJ Finley. It's going to be really, really the spark that came from the side. Like the players seemed like they were ready for this change to happen. Like it seemed like the players were just like, look, coach, we've seen enough of this song.
Yeah, if you're any receiver except for Shanker and Shedrick, you've been ready for this.
Yeah.
You going out there and running your butt off, right? And so to block, so Bo can target the same two guys. Look at how many receivers touch the ball. And you know what? I'm not even that down on Shedrick. kudos to him for catching the ball in the end zone to win the game.
Yeah.
Right. As long as we're not throwing the ball at him like he's a number one receiver, I'm not that down on him. My problem was them targeting him like he's the best receiver. He's the most athletic receiver on the field. He's not.
Yeah, I still don't know what he's shown in practices to make you say to yourselves, yeah, he's a number one.
Yeah.
Super chat here from Jerome D. Bo will start for UCF next season.
Hey, listen, it's probably
Yet to be
accurate.
seen. Big gap, super chat. Appreciate you, Ward to M Eagle. Does Bo head to the transfer portal? Everybody's kind of in that same mode. It's a little early to be putting Bo in the transfer portal. We have to see how the remainder of this season plays out. TJ Finley has to remain the starter.
Well, I don't even think it's that. I think that at the end of the day, if you're Bo, no matter who it is, whether it's Finley or D Davis, does he want to be looking over his shoulder for the remainder of his time?
Or Grenier, whatever the
right,
they've got guys coming in who are going to be who this coach can groom from day one. We don't have to
is this an admission by this staff that we're moving on? They're moving on from Bo, right? They gave him 3.5 games, and he arguably regressed every game.
No, he definitely played worse every single game from an accuracy.
That is a factual statement.
Yeah, his accuracy, I think, like the first game, the accuracy wasn't great, but it was in the neighborhood of where it needed to be. Alabama State, it started to wane a little bit. Penn State, it was almost as if we were back in last year again with Bo and his accuracy. It actually, Penn State may have been. He didn't make a lot of bad decisions in the Penn State game as far as like throwing the ball directly to somebody from the other team. But just from he almost had the intercept. But I'm just saying it wasn't a ton of those. But the moon ball situation still has me baffled. Like, I still don't understand how that became a thing. Like, if he was hurt, then I don't know why he was in the game. Jazzy Joe, appreciate your super chat. Jerome, could you imagine if Bo goes to UCF? Poor Joey Gatewood. I didn't even think about that. But if Joey Gatewood has to sit behind Bo Nix again, that is awful. And I do feel bad for that guy.
Poor guy.
Appreciate you coming on board as a member here. I skipped past it. Jerome D, thank you for the membership. It's crazy, man. I see Ed Reed. I see Ed Darby's statement about the play action. I still don't understand why we haven't gone heavy play action, specifically from underneath center, right? We're in an obvious run look, heavy set, 2 tight ends, 1 tight end, or 21, 22, whatever the personnel is. You turn heavy play action, and then you throw the ball over the top. I don't know why we haven't seen that against these defenses that are clearly selling out again. One of the last tackles that we had on a defensive play for a running back was by a safety. And he wasn't playing down in the box. He came screaming downhill against the run from about 10 yards deep. When we watched the film on Monday, I'm going to make sure I point out how much the safeties for Georgia State just didn't respect the fact that we could throw the ball downfield. Super chat here, fellas. If TJ Finley doesn't start next week, what does that do for the locker room? The team and the crowd appeared to be sparked when TJ entered. I don't know how you couldn't be sparked when TJ came in the game. We were playing so poor offensively. The crowd, according to B. Will, who was there at the stadium, was chanting for TJ to come in the game. Like, I could hear the boos in the broadcast, but the chants for TJ, I didn't hear that. But B. Will said that the crowd was literally chanting for TJ to come into the game. So what are you guys' thoughts about whether or not, how difficult a decision is this going to be for Brian Harsin as to who the starting quarterback? The broadcasters were talking about, we have a quarterback controversy on our hands. How difficult a decision is this going to be for who is the starting quarterback against LSU in Death Valley next week?
I don't think it's that difficult of a decision. I think it's pretty clear. It's not like we made this. This didn't happen in Baton Rouge. This didn't happen at home against Georgia. This happened against Georgia State. Like, I don't know what more you need to see. I really don't. I really don't see how. And if you do put Bo in, what does that say for the leash that's on him? Like, we already knew he was already on a short leash. So if you put Bo back in, what is it going to take for him to get pulled right back out and you put Finley in? If it's that short, then go with Finley. It's that simple. Because I just don't see I just don't see how you put him in. And Mike has alluded to it. We've always questioned what's up here in his head, what's going on mentally in the game for him. He has all the physical tools, but can it come together in his head enough for him to make the right read, make the correct decision, and put the ball where it needs to be? If he's already being pulled and he's not the guy winning a game for us, can you count on him to go in a raucous environment on the road and put it together all of a sudden?
I don't know, because again, at Penn State, he didn't look shaken by the environment, but he definitely did not look as if he understood there was more than one read on specific plays. Like, you go back to the goal line situation where he throws it to Kobe. That was the only read he looked at. Like, he never considered the fact that, oh, there are 4 other people in this pattern who I could potentially go to if I don't like this look. He just knew. It's almost very robotic with Bo Nix now. Like, the improvisation is complete. Like, they just like, he looks like a mule that has been taken to task because he does not look as if he is playing football anymore and just trying to make plays.
And it seems to me as if he has to focus on his main read in order to get the ball out quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the first read isn't there, I'm supposed to get the ball out quickly. So I'm either got to run, I either got to just throw the ball anyway, or I can't go to my next progression because I'm supposed to get the ball out of my hand. So it's just like it's a meltdown right there in the pocket for him.
I don't know, man. Like I said, it seems like his spirit is devoured in trying to analyze and understand what they're doing to attack me. And honestly, people can be upset at me for saying this. This is why Bo Nix isn't an NFL caliber quarterback, because NFL caliber quarterbacks have one of two things. They either have that special Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, doesn't really matter what the defense is doing, I'm going to make a play type of thing, or they have this special ability to analyze, dissect, accuracy thing, right? Like, Bo Nix has not displayed any of that this year. Last year, he had a little of that special go out there and make a play in him. He don't have that, and he don't have to dissect and analyze stuff. He has not played his way into anybody's NFL board. He has, like, he is. We tried to shoot him some bail earlier this season about whether or not he was a tier 5 quarterback. He's played like a tier 5 quarterback so far.
I think it's unfair to Finley to talk more about what Bo didn't do than what TJ just did. He came off the bench.
Well, we're not necessarily doing that. We're talking about a decision next week.
And in that vein, what are you going to learn about Bo in practice this week that you don't already know? You found it out. You've gathered all the information. You got 2 full seasons and you got 3 games this season, so you know what Bo is. TJ gets to start 100%.
I think what you find out from Bo Nix is whether or not his attitude is team first.
I don't think that matters.
I think it matters a lot as to whether or not he plays at all, right? Not just whether or not TJ starts. I'm not talking. So let's say TJ starts. Is Bo Nix even still your number 2 quarterback if his attitude is poor? Is my point.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm concerned about the guy who's going to start at LSU. I'm just telling you that TJ, came off. He bided his time. He came in, and back when he chose Auburn, I told everybody that, listen, there's a reason he chose Auburn, because he feels like he can beat out the guy who's in the number 1. He's not coming here to sit for 3 years or 2 years behind Bo. Everybody jumped down my throat. No, he said he understands he's going to sit behind Bo. No, he does not. He came here because he expected this.
He understood that there was going to be an opportunity because Bo had shown he's going to give me a shot to come in here and play. And the coaches told him, I'm going to give you a fair chance.
Yeah, the other schools that were in the running for it they weren't really in the running because of the quarterback situations at those schools. Right? If I'm TJ, I can watch the tape on Bo just like everybody else. And I'm thinking, that's the guy. All right. Like, even if they stick with him for a couple games, as a quarterback, as an athlete, he probably understood that the hill that he has to climb is a lot higher than everybody thought. And that's why everyone was screaming about, he's going to have the Joe Burrow makeover. And I'm like, nah, man, I don't think people understand how difficult that is, because there's a lot of things that have to go right. You not only need a system and a play caller that can consistently put you in the right situations, but a lot of those guys never had the mechanical mental problems that Bo has been trying to fix literally his whole football playing career. So TJ comes in, just a guy who you can tell has been a winner most of his career. Now he flashed a little bit of the potential he showed at LSU last year. It was uneven, but he was the number 2 guy last year, and he was not supposed to ever start that season. They threw him in. He looked good against South Carolina. He had a really tough game against us. We played him like most teams want to play Bo.
And that's exactly what I expect LSU to do next week against us.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to try to light TJ up every opportunity they can if he's playing.
But the game plan that Bobo seems stuck on, I think works a lot better with TJ, because he is actually going to see the field, so that you're limited. Like, listen, if you got touch problems, you need as many options to throw to on the field as possible, so that if you can at least see the options, you can make the easiest throw, if anything. But when your quarterback goes out and only sees the hardest throw on the field and then is stuck on that option, your offense is limited to his limited vision.
Yeah.
And what I was trying to say would catch up to us eventually, right, was that if you cannot stretch the field vertically, at least average, defenses are going to load the box, and it doesn't matter how good your offensive line is. It doesn't matter, because they're just going to load the box to stop your running backs. So we saw Jarquez, that's again the same Jarquez after contact. Holy crap, man. Once you touch him, he's just a hard guy to get to the ground. And Tank just had a rough night. He was the yards before contact here wasn't great this game. They were getting hit in the backfield a lot.
Right.
We needed to break tackles. And again, credit to Georgia State. They understood the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Load the box, plug all the holes, and then and don't let them stretch you out.
And live with it. You live with the result on the back end. I don't care if you can hit it. God bless you, but I don't believe that you can. Super chat here. My bad. Marcus Ricks. Tony Bo Nix is Tony Romo's little brother. Tony Romo is a really good quarterback, even in college. I don't know how that comparison matches up there. Another super chat here. The Rock 1984. Sorry, guys. Meant to ask this before tonight's game. After last Saturday, and for that matter tonight, what do you three think has been our biggest hidden weakness we didn't know in the first 2 games? It's easily defensive communication in the back. The defensive backfield communicating has been awful. Quez Evans, Bo will win the job back at practice next week. I don't know if I believe
you can't win it back at practice.
So let me go back to what you were saying here, Mike, and I'm gonna let you jump in here. See, you were saying that we have to be able to show a vertical threat. I'm gonna ask the question. I'm gonna let you answer it, see, and then you get second bite at this apple. Do you think TJ Finley showed a vertical threat tonight? Go for it, see.
Threat, I think that's to be determined, Ike.
I'm asking just tonight, not in the future.
Tonight?
I'm saying tonight, did he threaten them vertically with his arm?
Yes. I think he did.
What were the opportunities that you point to say yes to that?
That last drive. The last drive.
I don't think any of those were vertical throws. Those were all short underneath stuff.
So you're talking about 20 passes of 20 plus yards or longer.
Yes.
Well,
I didn't see the vertical threat from TJ tonight. I saw guys open that he overthrew, but I'm saying, and Ed Darby, I'm not saying it has to be streaks. I'm talking about deep passes with touch over the top of a defense that's streaking downhill. Where was that from TJ tonight with accuracy?
We didn't have any of those.
So I'm saying my point is that I don't know that TJ Finley solves that problem. You feel, Mike, that maybe he solves it with more reps, right?
But here's my thing. We saw last week that you don't necessarily have to do that to keep a defense off balance, right, Ike?
No, you absolutely don't.
Because
you just
Clifford,
need to be able to...
Clifford didn't bomb away at us, but he just picked us apart by making the throws that TJ, I believe, can make as well.
The difference in those two things, though, is I don't believe teams are going to do what we did against Penn State, which is play coverage. I think that teams are going to dare us to throw it deep and just say, cool, if you want to dink and dunk it underneath, then fine. But we're going to heat that man up and we're going to make us believe that you can complete a ball over the top. I think that that's what the strategy is going to be. I think that that's what's been the strategy the entire time against Bo Nix. Make you guys feel it. And you got to hit one of these to make me back up. I'm not backing up till you hit one. And we didn't hit any of them tonight. None. Not from Bo Nix, not from TJ Finley. Not a single one was hit tonight. And so I'm asking, where's the confidence in TJ's ability to do that based upon what? What have we seen other than one deep throw to Malcolm Johnson in the Alabama State game?
We haven't seen. I mean, that's the place where we've seen it.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I just disagree 100%. First of all, you have to see the throw, right? First, you got to see the right guy. That's where we've been stuck. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 3 is read the field properly, right? So having an open guy and throwing it to him, even if you miss the throw, is a warning shot to the defense. His deep balls looked better. They look better than Bo's. They look way better than Bo's. His deep balls looked way better than Bo's.
If it ain't a completion, it looks bad.
And then secondly, right, because my confidence is that if you give him tonight is hard to judge Finley by. It's really hard to judge Finley by. He came in and I mean, I don't know. Even if you had a game plan for Finley, what you're trying to deploy is just save the day at the point where he gets in the game, right? Now he's to the point of the 20 plus throws tonight. I don't even think that matters. I don't think that matters right now. What the point was, all the intermediary stuff that Bo doesn't even see, Finley saw tonight. He threw one to Kobe over the middle that I was like, oh. Bo, I told Caesar, I was sitting next to me. I was like, Bo doesn't see that throw. It was like on a comeback kind of deal. And there was an option to the outside and one on the inside. And it was for the 2-point conversion, right?
Okay.
The ball he threw for the 2-point conversion, Bo doesn't see. He never sees those passes. I've rarely seen him throw a ball like that ever, right? He saw the open guy. They rolled it out to the right. It looked perfectly executed. I can't remember the last time I saw Bo throw a ball like that.
The only reason I'm going to say I don't know is because I have no idea what the first option was on that read. If it was the first option, Bo absolutely would have seen it because that's where he would have been looking the entire time. A couple of super chats here, and I'm going to let you finish. Chris K, appreciate that. And then we got a new Barning Knight came on board, membership. Appreciate that. One more super chat. I'm missing it somewhere. Gosh, I wish I could just flag these things. Oh, no, that's it. No, you said Bo will win at practice next week. That's the last one. All right, so go ahead and finish with your thought there, Bo, about that.
So he opened up a lot out of the field. I thought that TJ did a good job opening up a lot of the field for the receivers. And just by the sheer amount of different receivers that got targeted, it was clear that he's seeing the field better. I was encouraged by his identification of some of these throws. Now, there are a lot of things going on there, right? First of all, adrenaline in the situation that he got put in, right? You are not in the flow of the game, and they just asked you to get off the bench and save the day, right? So I think the potential is there. If you're asking me, I can't, just like every other time I've seen Finley throw the ball, I'm telling you, I can make absolutely no judgments based on that. I just know that it'd be hard for a guy to come in and do worse than what we've seen on the deep ball. So if he's really your number 2, he's got to get a shot. He really does, because now you have 3.5 games worth. Just on that alone, just based on what Bo has done alone, you got to move on. He's proved it to you, because this was a home game against a cupcake.
Yeah, again, I'm moving the conversation away from Bo Nix like you asked me to. You said you don't want to talk about Bo Nix performance. I'm asking specifically about TJ Finley stuff. The Rock 1984 says Finley performs better with a bad offensive line. His height helped tonight. We got another super chat. Yeah, definitely was more composed, in my opinion. The only common thread in all your failed relationships is you looked at the past 7 coaches, get some blame, but this is the players. Definitely believe the players did not do us any justice tonight with the way they came out and play. Again, Zacoby McClain is clearly the leader of that defensive unit. When he came in, the defense looked completely different in their discipline in the run game, which, to your point, made it difficult for Georgia State to even entertain throwing the ball because the run wasn't working. TJ Finley ignites the offense. The players felt a different energy when he came into the game. The crowd was a different energy. But let me be clear. We saw this act from TJ Finley last year. He comes in and mop up duty for somebody else and looks amazing. The next game was us at home, and he looked awful that game. So again, my confidence in TJ isn't there yet. I need to see him do it against a superior opponent. Go ahead.
I think that's a fair point, but I think I'm encouraged by what we've seen out of TJ, because I don't know if you put Bo in that situation and he goes out and does that.
You're saying if Bo Nix comes in cold as the backup and goes into that game, Bo Nix is not going to go in loose and play a good game to get us the win there.
I just don't. So I feel encouraged by what TJ did moving forward. I think it is, to your point, to be determined what he does now that teams know he could be the guy, right? But it was encouraging to see him hit throws that we've been clamoring for, or seeing receivers that we've been clamoring for the quarterback to see tonight. That was very encouraging. Now, my hesitation here is I really do think that with all of Bo's issues, I don't like the game plan that Bobo has crafted for Bo. Correct. Will he craft a good game plan for TJ Finley moving forward?
Well, to Mike's point, I don't know that you have to change the game plan for TJ Finley. The game plan that you've been employing for Bo actually works better for TJ Finley. They're not doing a bunch of design runs to use Bo's legs. They're still not running heavily, to try to open up short passes that are available for him. It is really just, reading the.
I just need more play action.
God, please.
I need more. We need more play. Like, we really need more play action now.
Yeah, for sure. Jazzy Joe says, I think we start Finley because the argument we all have had was that Bo can escape pressure, but Finley can move. Yeah, that's absolutely true. The argument has been the reason why TJ Finley doesn't work is this offensive line won't give him time. He can't escape pressure. I think TJ Finley was super heady tonight in his ability to escape pressure. I don't know how he got out of some of those situations, but he made a way to do it and fall into the ground twice. He makes really good throws. Another super chat here from Mason Bartleson says, great takes, guys. Is this an issue with coaching, or is it about Bo just can't be a starter? Why can coaches adapt? Why can the coaches adapt? I think you meant can't adapt to the talent that we have. That's a great question. With it being a situation, we heard so much about Harson's offense being multiple. This looks more like Bobo than it is Brian Harsin to me right now.
Yeah, I'm wondering if somebody's hand didn't get forced in the second quarter, in the third quarter, right? So when it comes down to it, there was a comment earlier that just said, oh, Mike, you might be overreacting. We need to evaluate TJ next week. What are you evaluating that you have not seen already in practice? You've evaluated already, right? And you chose to go with one guy. Now at this point in the season, it's about what a guy does under the lights. What he is in practice is what he is. Except for now, you're giving TJ the first team reps so that he can start to develop some chemistry with whoever's going to be out there. I think that's another reason why you saw mass substitutions.
Those were the receivers he's played more with as the second team guys.
You had to. You couldn't send them out there with the package that Bo's been working with. Send them out there with the guys, and then we saw that those guys are capable. Some of the laser outs that he threw to the sideline were very encouraging. I mean, the DB had no chance the way he was throwing that ball. And, Canyon caught a couple. I would like to have seen a little bit more out of Capers. He seemed laser locked in on Capers for some reason, but he got off of that before the game was over, and then just started finding guys. Right.
How many people on this team at wide receiver make that sideline catch that Elijah Canyon did? How many other guys on this team make that catch?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, again, they have been prioritizing.
Hudson probably could. Hudson has impressed me, but to your point, that was one impressive catch.
Yeah, he kept his toes in bounds. That would have been a catch in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, like, he got both toes down. I'm just saying they have been prioritizing experience over talent. And at the end of the day, we needed talent. Because if your experience is bad experience, how effective is it? We've already seen Bo go out there and not be able to drive us down the field at the end of the game for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
so TJ can come in 98. They got really lucky on that bounce out on the punt at the 2. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, here we go again. And they put Jarquez in. They trusted the freshman on your own goal line. He gets you out of the shadow of your own goalpost instantly. And then you open it up a little bit. And it seems like the more TJ shows them that he's capable of doing under the lights, you might see some different wrinkles in this playbook. For the play action to work, again, you got to be able to hit at least the intermediary passes at a high clip. Or they're just going to crash down on the running back every time, or the quarterback, because it's like, hey, man, if he can't hit these passes, what is the point? So I think that TJ, there's nothing you're going to learn in practice about TJ that you don't already know. Your only question is, can he do it when called upon? That's your question.
The definite question is that once the lights come on and you're the guy, right? You're not the guy who's coming in and pinch hitting for the guy. Like, no, you've got to take all of the major swings now.
Right.
Can you continue to do that when the pressure's on? Because Georgia State's back playing coverage and they're just like trying not to get beat deep. All right, cool. We'll surrender these little 10, 12-yard passes. Fine, cool. You can have that as long as you don't score a deep one. Again, when it's your turn to do that for the remainder of the game, can you do that? Now, the fact that TJ, what I want to point to is not the 98-yard drive. It's the drives before that where, again, he didn't do what he needed to do to make us. We should have been up by the same margin earlier in that game. He missed a couple of guys who would have scored if those passes were a little bit better. A question here from Jazzy Joe Super Chat. Where in the raggedy hell was Robertson on the sidelines not getting in the game? Why? I don't know the answer to that. V. Lorray says, let's start TJ with Canyon and Capers. Looks like they have great chemistry under pressure. Absolutely. I mean, that's great for the 2-minute drill. I want to see what the chemistry, because he clearly has some sort of rapport with Capers, because that's when he came in early, that was immediately who he was looking to. He was like, I'm going to get the ball to my boy Zay. Like, that's just basically like in his brain, they was over there on the sidelines, bro. We get in this game, I'm getting the ball to you.
Canyon, Capers, Johnson, Kobe Hudson.
Yeah, those are our playmakers at wide receiver. I don't know what anybody else feels about that. I don't know what C-Will was seeing. I don't know what Bobo was seeing at practice. I can tell you from what I've seen in limited duty, Canyon, Capers, Malcolm Johnson Jr., Kobe Hudson are the 4 receivers who are the best playmakers on that team. Kalen Newton, props to him for the block punt. Kudos to that man right there. Is a decent blocking wide receiver, but he don't have that it factor at wide receiver for me. Shedrick Jackson, total effort. I have no issue with him tonight necessarily. Like, he didn't play poorly. He caught the stuff that was catchable that was thrown towards him. But again, I just don't know why he's being targeted. He's being targeted like he's Randy Moss. Like, I'll say this again. They're throwing him the ball like they feel like Shedrick's got Randy Moss skills, and it ain't there. What you got, Mike?
Clemson lost, by the way, FYI.
Wow.
NC State.
NC State's not a terrible team, but Clemson's clearly down this year, and they are going to plummet in the rankings. It'll be funny to see where we're ranked after this game. Go ahead, C.
Yeah, I know. I just think I'm just surprised to see Shedrick running like 20+ yards down the field. Why? We didn't see him involved in the screen game, I don't think, tonight. But like, I don't understand those plays. Like, he should be running routes almost similar to that of Shanker. He is clearly a possession receiver who's one of the guys that the QB checks down to.
Yeah, I forgot about Javaris Johnson. I do think that he's going to be a playmaker out there at the slot too.
I think that one of the more impressive things that TJ did tonight was after the overthrow to was it Javarius in the corner,
Mm-hmm.
On
No,
the
it was
third
Hudson. I think that he missed.
Hudson,
Somebody in the
yeah,
end zone.
yeah. On the
I think that was Hudson.
overthrow.
He missed there.
To come back and then have the wherewithal, like Nathan King just tweeted that the original play call was for a fade to Jackson in the end zone. That was the original play call on that fourth down. TJ scrambled out and then made something happen, right? Like, so
Why was that a play call though?
I don't understand. And to him of all people, right? Like, so
I don't understand. I don't understand. What are they seeing from Shedrick Jackson at practice that makes them think that this man can run a fade route for the game?
Yeah, that play was made by TJ getting out of the pocket and Georgia State's coverage kind of breaking down, right? Like, so I just really think if you're TJ Finley, you do what you got to do in terms of practice this week. You prepare as if you're the starter. You show, I mean, again, it's the brass balls that it takes to go in and do what he did is something that like kids dream about. You get your number called and then you go in, and he just had to make plays. It wasn't about running the offense or
correct
executing anything. It was literally just go out there and play pitch and catch well enough for us to win the football game. That's all that was his only goal.
I mean,
tonight.
Specifically on the last drive, right? Like, it's just, we're running 2-minute offense. Just go out there. You know, he managed the clock really well. So what I will say is, for that 2-minute drive, he managed the clock. I was scared that they were going to go in with timeout still in their pocket. Right? I was like, y'all are letting a lot of time to, go off the clock here while you're changing out players late in the play clock. There was actually one time where I think the clock was running and it shouldn't have been. I have to go back and look at that on the film, but I actually think there was a play where we went out of bounds and it was a first down, but the clock kept running. And I was like, what are we doing? What's happening? Like, we ain't calling no timeouts, nothing. We're just letting, but he managed the clock really well. He stayed poised under pressure, multiple situations where pressure's right in his face. He either takes the hit or escapes the pressure and dumps it off to somebody at the last second. He had one to Javarius Johnson like that. He had one to Kobe Hudson like that, or takes off running for like 12, 13 yards that one time down the field. Again, he's not supposed to be the athletic quarterback. He's the 6'7" tree stump back there that's supposed to just be target practice for some would-be tackler coming in, and they're just supposed to tee off on him. And he was like, nah, I got a little something for y'all in this. Now, again, this is Georgia State that we're talking about. These aren't LSU guys or Georgia guys that he's doing this against. But the point here is, and I know we're supposed to be straying away from Bo Nix, Bo didn't do that. You didn't see Bo Nix escape. So all of it's the offensive line, same offensive line played, same level of pressure. He just got the job done when he needed to, in the moment that he needed to get it done in. So you definitely have to give props to TJ for that.
How about him escaping the pocket for that run too? It's just It was just like these were things that I was expecting to see, from a Bo. And I just think TJ took advantage of the opportunities as they came, and that's all you can ask of him.
Yeah, listen, see the field and make the right decision, whether it's run or pass. That's basically what he went out there and did today, right? Like he saw the field, he made some good decisions, and he was effective as a runner because he made the decision to run fast enough, right? He saw it and he was like up the middle. And the other thing that he did that was super impressive was he climbed the pocket to make throws.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't get like the pressure was coming to the outside, and he just climbed the pocket. And even though the defense got to him on the way to the ground, he kept his eyes up and made some game-saving throws. Make no mistake about it. He made like 3 game-saving throws on that drive where it just kept the momentum going. The team was up. The energy was up. The stadium was up. The players were feeling it like, okay, if we do something different, maybe it will produce a different result rather than what we've seen. That's why for everybody in the comments that keep saying we need to evaluate TJ some more, no, you don't. The only evaluation you need to make is in the game under the lights,
right?
And because it's clear
because you know what you got.
Yeah, whatever you're seeing from Bo in practice that made him earn the starting job isn't translating to the field,
right?
Yeah, we asked this question before: is he just the greatest practice player ever? The word out of camp initially, it didn't seem like it.
Yeah,
but again, I think they just prioritized experience over talent at the point. TJ was kind of the new guy. Maybe he's still learning the playbook, still getting the feel for things at Auburn. But he did what you asked a guy with talent to do, right? I know that you may not be the most experienced in this system. You got here late, but now we just need a playmaker, right? Now we need a guy to come in and change the tempo and just make some football throws. And that's exactly what he went out there and did tonight. So
yeah, and that, again, that's everywhere, not just at the quarterback, the wide receivers too. For the first time in crunch time, no less, they said, "Where are my playmakers? Who's gonna go out here? Who want to?" It's basically like C. Will turned to the wide receiver room. Is like, who wants to make a play? And somebody raised their hands, like, "All right, you go out there and make a play," because he emptied. The only person who did not see the field was D-Rob. I don't know what happened to
D-Rob and Dawson.
Yeah,
Dawson. I don't know if he's still battling an injury. He hasn't played yet this season, but everybody. Well, JJ Evans still ain't played yet either. I don't even know if JJ Evans still has an Auburn football jersey, because I have not seen I don't even know if he's on the sidelines during the games. He's so far removed from actually getting on the field. But he just basically was like, who wants to go make a play? Go out there and do it. I'm gonna shuffle somebody. I'm gonna keep putting new people in here till somebody makes a play. Super chat here from Demario Nettle says, "Yo, that 15-yard scramble from TJ caught me off guard, but I like the kid. More reps with the ones gonna pay off on the deep ones. Ike, I hope so." That's it. You were about to say something, Mike G. Go ahead and tap back in.
He's got he's got a lot of TJ has a little bit of he's definitely got some growing to do within this offense. He's been put in a very unenviable situation.
For sure.
They burned all the gimmies with Bo and then threw him in the middle of disaster. Right now, his next game has to be on the road in one of the hardest places to play in the SEC versus former team.
Yeah, and that's this is the when you say unenviable, this is why I think this is such a dangerous thing, because if he doesn't go and play well at LSU, people are going to swear, "See, I told you guys, TJ wasn't any better. You should have stuck with Bo." Yeah. And I just don't know that you've seen anything from Bo Nix thus far that gives you again, my questions about TJ Finley don't mean I have any confidence in Bo Nix. My point is that I don't know that our deep ball accuracy has gotten much better by putting him in the game. My question is going to be 100%, is he going to be able to develop that chemistry in 6 days to be able to get there with these guys? I have no idea what the answer to that question is. I still have questions about that specifically. Is the game plan going to be something that is going to allow him to be successful? I don't know, because I haven't seen a game plan that I've loved thus far. Is the offensive line going to get back to being able to block the freaking run up better? Well, I don't know, because the first 3 games, even at Penn State, they played. This is the worst game our offensive line has had this year. I don't know what the advanced statistics are going to say, but I'm talking about from my eyes, the offensive line looked awful from snap 1 to snap whatever the last snap was of this game. It just didn't look good.
I got to go back and look at the film before I make any comments on the offensive line. I mean, for initial reaction is it didn't look like they had a great game. But yeah. I will tell you that, this kid, given a chance to actually be in the flow of the game, get in the flow of the game, feel the game out, right? Understand, how his Zachy Black, it's gonna help him tremendously. Kind of moving to the coaching staff, right? Can't stress enough. This is why we paid $21 million to move on from the last guy.
Yeah.
Right. Because they took the safe route to start the season. The route that if you do this, nobody really blames you. But when the proverbial poop hit the fan, they did what they had to do in terms of mass changes offensively. And then you learn something about your team during the process. You learned a lot about a lot of guys tonight. When adversity hits, how do guys respond? And it's a good opportunity for Finley to just show that he can be the guy, right? And really just kind of jumpstart his college career. He came here for that. He's been working hard. All reports have he's been we were sold all offseason that he really pushed Bo in this quarterback competition.
Mm-hmm.
It's all they talked about. Like, TJ being there made Bo a better quarterback. So if we're to believe that, then why not lean on him if Bo's not getting it done? Right?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't see
why
any
not?
reason not to.
Why not do this?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm high on Finley right now because I just think if you're evaluating, because he's our next option, and if you're evaluating possibilities, as far as the vertical passing game is concerned, or anything beyond 10 yards, really, it would be very, very difficult to do worse than what we're already doing if you're not going to utilize Bo's legs.
Definitely.
Right? You're going to call the game like this, and you're going to take Bo's legs out of the equation and put somebody else in it. That's all I'm saying.
Let me hit this super chat, Jazzy Joe. Remember, LSU knows TJ Finley. That's a very good point, Jazzy, but you also have to remember TJ knows LSU, right? So it's not as if he didn't practice against these guys in the spring and a lot last year. So he knows those guys just as well as they know him. So he might be able to say, hey, yeah, I know what I can do on a back shoulder throw against this guy. And didn't play tonight. DJ Stingley was out of that game against Mississippi State. So I don't know if he didn't play the whole game, but the portion of the game that I watched, DJ Stingley was not playing. So I don't know if they're going to have Stingley playing next week or if they just held him out to try to get him ready for next week. But that's going to be an interesting situation in their defensive backfield. And, you made the statement that you're high on TJ Finley. I'm not high on him, but I do love what he came in the game and did today. I am looking forward to seeing what he can do in the future. C-Dub, you wanted to jump in here. Go ahead for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just encouraged. I'm just kind of encouraged to just reiterate about what we saw. We've seen this movie before, where on the road against Florida, on the road against LSU, where struggle all the way to the L, all the way to the end, and we lose the game.
Yeah.
And now what was encouraging is that the coaching staff went out and got guys who could bring competition to each room. That was one of the things that Brian Harsin preached and talked about. But the question was, when the heat is on and you're trying to win games, can you make the difficult decision to put in a guy who can spark the offense, get it going, and get the win, right? That was one of the things we were waiting to see, and we saw it. And I think from that alone, it's encouraging. But to your point, we are in an interesting situation, because how do you manage that room and that offensive team moving forward? Because we saw how the players responded to Finley, but you also want to make sure moving forward that you manage and handle him correctly as well. Give him a fair shot to succeed. And that's just going back to Bobo. I want to see Bobo come up with a better. I really have not been pleased with his game plan up to this point. I just want to see him actually. If you got a QB who can do some of the things that you like to do, just don't have him sitting back there like a target. Just do some things schematically that can keep the defense off balance to give Finley a chance.
Let me ask you guys two questions here. Just want quick responses on the first one, then we'll dive into the second one. This is going to be a question Steve is going to love that I'm about to ask here. What's the probability that you feel Gus Malzahn pulls Bo Nix and puts TJ Finley if he's coaching this game? What % chance do you think that happens? Just quick, off the top of your head, what's the quick thing?
None, because Finley wouldn't be at Auburn.
Well, let's just say, forget who the person's name is as QB number 2 in this game. Georgia State's clearly beating us. What's the probability Bo Nix sits in this game? Gus Malzahn is coaching. 0 from you. You think so too, Mike? 0% chance? Yeah, I have to agree with that. All right. So here's the other question that I have. Do you think that the stubbornness in the play calling from Bobo is him going back and looking at the missed opportunities that he's drawn up that were there that we just haven't hit? He's saying to himself, I'm actually not calling a bad game. You guys just aren't hitting the chances that I've been giving you. So he's like, I'm going to keep doing it. Y'all just need to call it, or y'all just need to execute it better. Do you feel like that contributes to it? Because there's clearly been chances there. Penn State game, we can go back and we can look at the film. What he called wasn't wrong. We just didn't run it the right way. I don't necessarily agree with the run pass percentages, but I think that if we hit the plays that were open there, not even just talking about the overthrows that happen, we're talking about deciding to throw it to the right guy. We get the opportunities there and we probably win that game, right? So what do you think that has contributed to the stubbornness in the play calling of him going back and looking at it and looking at the film and pointing out to guys, hey, this was open, you got to hit this guy? Do you think that contributes to it?
Yeah, I think an argument can be made for that, right? I mean, we did it. We looked at every play from the Penn State game, even on some of the plays where we completed a pass, the right read wasn't made, or the harder throw was taken over the easier throw. And now, again, we're talking about the key word, right? The trigger word is going to be vision, right? Now, if the other guy, if the guy you're going to is going to have better vision and is going to be able to see the whole field, it does make your game plan more effective, right? When the quarterback can see the right option and then deliver the ball. Because remember, some of the touch throws that we're talking about, like TJ in this one, you know, he had to take whatever was there. You know, some of those throws were the one to the back of the end zone. I thought he gave Javarius Johnson a chance. He put it inbounds right there. Now, in terms of how fast those receivers run or understanding the guy running the route, like, you know, I just think that comes with reps. But what I looked at was at a ball that was thrown inbounds where only the receiver was going to get it, period. Only receiver was going to get that one. The Georgia State guy had no chance. Now, he dove for it. It was going to be a high it was a high difficulty catch either way, you know, but I thought he did a good job at least giving the receiver a chance to make the play. And then what we saw on earlier in the game with Bo, with the same throw with Johnson, he was even more wide open and still did not get a chance to catch the ball.
That was actually probably the most disappointing throw from Bo Nix the entire day, because the first game, he would have just put that on. Like, and that's what happened when some guys were wide open. He didn't try to throw it with touch and give them the perfect pass. He just put it on them. And for whatever reason, I don't know what happened to Bo Nix since Akron, but he is obsessed with trying to drop perfect passes down from the heavens as opposed to just hitting a guy when he's
overcompensating for the touch that he's been missing on his deep throws, right?
Good
so like
Lord.
whatever it is there, you know what? It's akin, if anybody in the comments plays golf, right? It's like the equivalent to a golfer trying to change his swing mid-round. It never works, and it's very hard. The best golfers in the world, like it's points Tiger, can adjust, feel what they're doing wrong, and adjust in the middle of a round to pull their round back. It's extremely hard to do, but usually, you know, for us amateurs, when we go out, we hit some good shots, and then once it starts going wrong, it just keeps going south until the end of the round, and then you're throwing your club in the lake. But with a quarterback, I just think, again, what are you going to fix now? And I believe, and more than just quarterback, I think that this team just kind of is what it is. Our O-line, I don't expect them to play much better than what they're playing right now.
It'd be hard for them to play worse. So they definitely can play better, but we got some things to fix on the offensive line for sure.
But you have to scheme around them. You got to scheme around what they're doing well and what they're not doing well. And
I hate our screen game right now. It's terrible. Anyway, my bad.
I think that when you talk about time to throw is going to be really important moving forward. I'll say that again for everybody listening. Time to throw is going to be really important moving forward to neutralize that pass rush. TJ's got to get the ball out of his hands. It makes it harder for a quarterback when your line isn't great at pass pro, but it's not impossible, because we've seen some really, really good quarterbacks in the history of college football do it behind very, very average to below average offensive lines. You have to anticipate throws. You have to throw on timing. You have to understand with the receiver, and you have to make the right read pre-snap. This is why quarterbacks, some of the best quarterbacks in the history of football, like Peyton Manning, he was good because not only could he throw with anticipation, right? He could read the defense and understand which guy was going to be open before they threw the ball. In 2003, I remember I was sitting in a team meeting, and Tommy Tuberville was talking. It was before we played Ole Miss. We lost that game, but Tommy Tuberville talked about Eli Manning, and he used to call. He had a habit of calling players by their number. I forgot what number Eli was, but he said whatever number Eli was, he was challenging the defense to make plays. Listen, he'll throw some right to you, but make no mistake, this guy knows where he's going with the football before the ball is snapped. He stressed it. So you have to really, really hold your assignment because he knows where he's going with the football. And what he had up here compensated for maybe some of the physical attributes that he lacked as a quarterback. Peyton Manning didn't have the strongest arm, and I would argue in the season where he threw 50 plus touchdowns, his arm was mediocre at best. But he just threw guys open and knew where to put the ball. He knew how to take what was there and take what the defense was giving him. This is what we need of TJ. He's got a strong arm now, but because of the state of our offensive line, we need him to throw with anticipation, and we need him to have really, really good pre-snap reads. So he's going to have, I would argue that with the time that he's being given, a lot of times it's going to be read one, quickly read two, and either throw away or check down. That's all he's got time for behind this offensive line. Right.
Like, especially against some of these better teams. Arkansas is looking like a freaking juggernaut out here.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to run away from Arkansas like he did Georgia State tonight. Right. Like, so he's going to have to, again, go one read, two read, check down in about 2.5 seconds, most plays. And then when they do give him time, he's got to hit those throws. Right. So we need better execution from the quarterback to make up for what our offensive line is lacking right now. It's possible. I'm telling you, it's possible. And a team, because, midway through the second quarter, I was thinking, man, this really does look like a 6-6 team or a 7-5 team. A lot of people were texting me that. Right. Yeah. But if your quarterback can make up for a lot of what's lacked there and push you to an 8 or 9 win team, with anticipation. Guys, I watched Joe Burrow do it. His line sucked. They were constantly letting pressure through on him. And then he got sacked 36 times and set every record in college football passing the ball. So it can be done. Now, I'm not asking TJ Finley to be Joe Burrow, but what I'm saying is that if he can bring his game up 20%, he can help the line 10%. And if the receivers can bring their game up 20%, right, they can help everybody else. Tim, we can be a game or two better than what we were expected to be in this season. So
you only have to look at Sean Clifford from last week, right? That's exactly what happened with him. He was not beating Sean Clifford is not a world beater quarterback. He just, when the opportunities were there, he made the throws. His offensive line was, even with our terrible pass rush, he just escaped pressure when he had to. And then when he didn't make a great throw, Dotson bailed him out and made a spectacular catch. Hold on, I want to get this super chat in before we go there.
Ask me again after LSU.
That's going to be. Big Blue says, when is the last time a backup QB led us to come behind? I don't know. The last time we saw
Sean White.
Did he come in mop-up duty and win a game?
I'm going to ask Justin Ferguson that question. He'll know.
I think it was one of those games where Jeremy Johnson was struggling. I think White may have come in.
Somebody mentioned the Clemson game about how we played 3 quarterbacks in that game. That was completely different.
3 quarterbacks.
We had 3 people take snaps from us.
There you go. All right, there you go. There you go.
But that was mostly because one of the guys was hurt and the other guy might as well have been hurt, right? Like, it just we didn't have options at QB that were even tenable. And then we went with Chandler Cox. The Cox cat is
Auburn Dad's got a good question. So my question is, we go into LSU with TJ and he get lit up and does the same as Bo in this game. Do you see Coach Brian Harsin pulling TJ for Bo, or just lose with TJ instead?
I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think Brian Harsin is married to a quarterback. He's married to getting the job done. So if he feels like Bo Nix can give us a spark, he'll put him in the game. My question is, if TJ is doing poorly and Bo Nix doesn't handle this from the attitude standpoint that he should, does Demetrius Davis get an opportunity? Now, this is a road game, so they're going to have to make decisions on who they're going to take with them, because they can't take everybody. Right. So my question is, does Demetrius, because of Lloyd, say what you want to, but I better not see Grant Lloyd tried out there on the field.
Facts.
But anyway, you can answer this question there, Mike.
Right. So here it depends on what you say lit up and who is it on, right? Like if if you're asking if TJ goes in there and plays poorly, do they pull him? It just depends on how poor. Is it worse than what we've been seeing? Then possibly, right? It's anybody can get pulled from a game. Anybody can get pulled from a game. The question that we've had is the next guy can he really be worse than what we're seeing? If the answer is yes, then we got big time problems, because a guy playing poorly is not the only reason that you'll ever need your backup.
Right.
Injuries happen, acts of God, all kind of things happen where you're going to need your backup. So normally we don't like this for it to be the reason that we have to go to the well and pluck a guy out. But tonight we needed to save our program from a really embarrassing loss.
Yeah, I actually would have rather seen this than Bo Nix get hurt and we had to go to TJ, because at least Bo Nix still is available.
Correct. Yeah. Like I mean, they saved us from a really embarrassing loss in a very different conversation tonight. So like, somebody has a very Lawrence, you stupid. I'm not going to address that, but we'll talk offline, buddy.
All right, Jazzy Joe, I'm sorry for all the super chats. We're not sorry for it at all. I know you all hate them. We don't hate the super chats. So let's be clear. The only reason that we have not stressed super chats before is because of the percentage of the revenue that goes to YouTube. But if by all means, continue to super chat your questions and we will continue to answer them. This post game is designed.
A heavy dose of sarcasm in that too.
Yeah. But this post chat, even though we're doing a lot of talking, is designed for you guys to come in here and vent with us, because this is what this whole show is about. This channel is about fan interactions, and we get to come in here and do all the hypotheticals and the complaining and the overanalyzation, overreacting. But anyway, Auburn record prediction. What are y'all's Auburn record prediction mean for the remainder of the season? What do you think? That's the same thing Mike was just talking about. I need to see it. Yeah, I need to see it after LSU. Do we see a different offense tried out there on the field? LSU is still not proven that they can do very well against a team that's going to be committed to running the football. So if we go in there with the right strategy and decide LSU's bad at this, let's go run it at them, and we take the air out of that stadium, then I think we have a good chance to go and play well in the remainder of those games. Georgia's not going to be a pushover. That's clear. Arkansas is not going to be a pushover. That's clear. Ole Miss is not going to be a pushover. That's clear. I still think Mississippi State is just an okay team. I still think South Carolina is just an okay team. And Bama has not looked unbeatable. So though we have a lot of things we need to work on defensively to make us stay in these games and give our opportunities to the offense to do things, I'm not counting us out of any game until I don't see an adjustment from our coaching staff, when we clearly saw an adjustment today where they said, you guys aren't getting it done. Somebody else go in there and win us this ball game.
To be clear, Georgia State gave the SEC game film on how to beat Auburn. So if I'm the coaching staff, I'm assuming that people are going to do to us what Georgia State did today.
And that's always been the danger.
You have to do that. You can't assume that you can just line up and just do whatever you want. You run on first and second down and then ask Finley to drop back on third and down and not third down, and just then that be the game plan. Like I think even with all of LSU's issues, you have to expect them to load the box and dare us to beat them. So now moving forward, your game plan is, how do we attack and stretch defenses to back them out of the box and play us honest defensively. If you can't do that, then that's going to say a lot about our record moving forward.
For sure. Appreciate the super chat here. Maroney Billingsley, appreciate that. War Eagle, right back at you. Yeah, I think, I think the game plan has been clear against Auburn. Anybody who looked at Auburn prior to today and didn't say make them throw the ball, I don't know what you've been watching Bo Nix do the last 2 years. Like that had to be the game plan from the beginning. And Penn State, I think, had like similar thoughts. They just couldn't stop us from running the ball, right? Correct. Like they just clearly, they loaded the box up. Everything about the box said, don't run it. And we would run in those scenarios sometimes and still get positive yards because the offensive line did that good in run blocking. The pass protection has been up and down. There are some plays where it looks great, other plays where it doesn't. But it was disappointing to see them get pressure with 3 guys early in the game. Only bring 3 guys and still get pressure. our tackle, I need to go back and look and see who it was giving up some of this pressure. I'm not convinced that the tackle position is at all capable of holding up against a legitimate pass rusher. And so if there is a team that has like one of those guys, one of those special guys like Penn State did, we're going to have issues. But if you've just got to win with 3 or 4 and you don't have really a good pass rush scheme, our offensive line's been okay. They've been giving Bo Nix time when he needed to be. He just wasn't hitting those throws. And so that's the thing I need for TJ Finley, if he's going to be the starter to come in and do. He's got to hit some of those throws to make those DBs, specifically the safeties, say to themselves, okay, I have to stay at home, guys. I can't come screaming down into the box here. And once you get them to stop doing that so much, or you say, all right, great, you're going to put a whole bunch of people in the box. We're going to do something in play action to make you think that's what's going to happen. And we're going to pop something right over the top for 10 to 12 yards. It don't have to be 60 yards down the field every time. I just need us to start making defenses think a little bit more than what they've been doing. And right now, we're not catching anybody off guard because our play calling has been very vanilla. And I don't know if that's been we're not going to show you guys anything till we get into SEC play thing or what. If it wasn't going to happen in Penn State, though, I don't know when you start to have it happen.
Well, it is. They've got the coaching staff has work to do. They definitely have work to do after this one. We're hearing
Felix. I forgot about this. This is the game Felix went on our ticket. This was Felix's first game as an Auburn fan going to the game. He got to see a thriller come behind victory, man. Yeah, man. Listen, I know you probably were very upset at what game you got early, but we got out of there with a win. Glad you had a good time, man.
At one point, you did this to me, War Report. These coaches got work to do, man. They've got to go back to the drawing board. B is on the post game presser right now. Some questions got asked about QB changes, so we will talk about that. But I want to celebrate what TJ Finley did. I'm going to wait for Ferg to answer my question about when was the last time we had a backup quarterback come and rescue us like this.
Mm-hmm. Somebody said it was Stan White coming in. Excuse me. It was
Sean White.
I think somebody said earlier something about Bo's dad coming in for Stan White. Was the last time. That'd be very interesting if that were the case. Another super chat here. Scorpio in the squad says, horrible win, but I'm gonna take it. There is such a thing as a bad win, so I'm not gonna go horrible. I'll finish reading your super chat. This was an ugly game. Running backs were getting lit up. Defense was I will agree with the second half of that. I don't know that it's necessarily a horrible win. Things that I will point to that will push me off of horrible win are things like, again, that defense, especially in the run game, completely different once Jacoby McClain is able to actually get in there and play. He showed a tremendous amount of leadership. He almost had double-digit tackles in one half. He came in there and he was like, y'all are not running the ball while I'm here. F all of that. Whatever y'all thought was happening before I got in the game, no, it's not. I saw him on the sidelines. He was like, calm down. We got this. Like, he was just a settling presence defensively for us there. And the other reason why I won't point to this being a horrible win is because we got to see Coach Harsin say, all right, this isn't working. Throw it all out. Let's go do something different. So I think that that's a good thing to be able to make that pivot. It's still Georgia State and it's still awful, but I'm glad that I got a chance to see it.
Yeah, Greg Wheatley is here. I think he's watching this, right? Like, this is something that I was uneasy about after the last game. It just seemed like they just didn't think the game plan, like, I just thought that usually you hear, and I know it's coach speak, but usually you hear, hey guys, this one's on us. It's our job to prepare the players and make sure that we put them in the best position to win. We don't feel like we did that tonight, so we'll go back to the drawing board and get it right for these guys. We owe it to them, stuff like that. I didn't hear any of that. He was kind of defiant, I think. And I'm not sure whether that's good or bad, as long as he's not in that defiance to the press is not denial about the plan,
what things need to happen.
So, like, as long as I don't care what he says publicly, as long as we do see some change. And I thought that they took a good step in that direction tonight by actually making the switch.
Right.
or to the quarterback. That's for Auburn fans. That's huge for us. This is a monumental moment in the history of being an Auburn fan, where our coach pulled a guy and said, "Listen, you're going to have to sit down at least for now and give somebody else a shot."
Yeah.
At the quarterback position. We do it everywhere else on the field. But to start the season, they seemed really stubborn with that at every position, at wide receiver. I really think the more I see of Jarquez Hunter, the more I become enamored and impressed with this kid.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think he is ready for the big stage. They gave him 10 touches to the 18 tonight.
Tank
got, right, and we were talking about splits, right? So Shivers ended up with 2 carries,
Right.
but he had one pass thrown at him. So we went 18-10 through 2 in terms of the carry load. The vision and the athleticism that Jarquez showed to begin that 98-yard drive set the tone for the rest of the drive, getting us out the shadow of our own goal post on play 1, and then doing it quickly before we have chance for some foolishness to happen, like a fumbled snap and then a safety or anything that would have sunk the game, right? Or a hold in the end zone, God forbid, right? He just got it out of there, and it was like, boom, that was the play that we needed. TJ comes in after that and then just hits enough passes for us to win. I mean, he got asked to, it's one thing when you get asked to throw the ball on obvious passing downs when they know you got to pass, right? The degree of difficulty is a little harder because there's no misdirection. There's no question about what you're doing. They're defending it. There are some guys that we have that we saw in that last drive that can catch the ball in traffic and in tight windows, right? And make some athletic plays on the sideline. Man, we saw athletes on the field on that last drive.
Yeah.
That's what I felt we would show Penn State we had.
Yeah.
Athletes like that. So it's, in terms of Bo, listen, I'm going to send this message to Bo, keep your head up.
Yeah, for sure. Because if Scorpio in the squad is right, can't imagine how he must feel. Fans were actually booing him. He's gonna cry in the car.
Yeah, listen, that's the game, right? Like you can't love the limelight and not love all the things that come with it.
For sure, that comes with playing quarterback, right? Like you're gonna take all the blame when it goes wrong, and you're gonna get probably an inordinate amount of credit when it goes right.
Right. Yeah. I just think if you're not built for that, then that's okay. I think that's okay. Some guys can handle that. Some guys can't. It takes a lot to bounce back from. When we were in school after Ben Obomanu dropped that pass versus Ole Miss, I remember riding the Tiger Transit to class that Monday, and people were talking about the church that he went to. He got booed at church after he dropped that pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot imagine. I remember Ben was number 2 on ESPN's Not Top 10. Like some people will never know what it's like to turn on the TV and see one of your biggest mistakes replayed over and over and over again.
That's
right.
Rough.
So it's rough. And I'm telling just a little bit of heat I get sometimes just for doing this with y'all. I'm just like, I'm shutting down my Twitter. Right. So for Bo, I just think, it's important that we say, hey, listen, football is a game. It's life, and I believe that if it's not at football, he will find success at something in his life. I do think he has a winner's mindset. I think he cares a lot. And it doesn't have to be the end of his football career, but this might be a necessary step in his maturation process.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time in his life, he got benched. For the first time in Bo Nix's life, he got benched. And this is a new kind of adversity that might actually catapult him forward in his football career, whether it's at Auburn or someplace else.
Right.
Malik Willis talked about it.
Yeah.
Malik Willis talked about it after he went to Liberty. He said, I didn't take it seriously. And then he got passed over for Bo. And some things had to happen for him to get his mind right, start taking the game seriously. Now they're talking about him being the number 1 QB taken in the NFL draft next year.
Right.
So it can be done, man. He's got skills. He's not a talentless guy. Right. I
liken it more to like Jalen Hurts, right? Like Jalen Hurts was the entrenched starter at Alabama for some years. and he got benched.
Got
Right
benched
now,
for a freshman.
he goes and he becomes a Heisman candidate when he goes to Oklahoma. Now a starting quarterback in the NFL for the Philadelphia Eagles. Right, so like the benching probably was the best thing that happened to Jalen Hurts, because if he doesn't get benched, then scouts don't get a chance to see him in that Oklahoma offense and say to themselves, oh, this guy can be a starting quarterback in the NFL. We just need to run an offense that looks like this around him, right? They knew he had all the poise in the world. And, again, I'm not comparing the talents of Jalen Hurts to the talents of Bo Nix. I think they're completely different players. But what I am saying is that the benching of Jalen Hurts ultimately became a thing that was beneficial for his career.
Correct.
And maybe this is a light bulb moment for Bo Nix. Maybe he gets an opportunity to bounce back from this in a crucial way. I'm gonna let you jump in here, C.
Yeah, and it just takes the pressure off of him, because when he came to Auburn, I remember the Oregon game. I mean, they was just showing the video of him at the national championship game with an Auburn jersey on, cheering, and who his dad was, and they set up this big story for him to be this next Auburn great, to follow in the footsteps of his dad. And I think that's what makes it even rough for him, is that story, that dream that probably him and his dad had for him to not be realized tonight, that it may not come into fruition. That's tough. And I think for him to regroup and refocus, and now that pressure is off of you, and now you can focus on whether it's football at Auburn or elsewhere or whatever, the pressure is off, and now you can just work and do what you got to do. And so that's the thing I'm rooting for, because that Bo's a good kid. He's a real good kid. It just didn't
he hasn't
work
been
out
in
for
any
him.
trouble since he's been at Auburn.
He's a good kid.
He's done everything that he's supposed to do off the field as far as like, I don't hear any stories coming out of Auburn about Bo Nix. And the worst that you hear about him is, again, he's a sore loser, right? And so if you're a competitor, like, that's just kind of what comes with being a competitor, is you don't like to lose. But what I do wonder is, at what point in time did Bo Nix lose that locker room? Because it looks like that locker room is locked in on TJ.
Yeah, I got to say this. I don't know that this has anything to do with what we've been seeing, but this is one of the things that I question about the onslaught of NIL, right? What gives you the opportunity to make money on name and likeness is play on the field, right? And now you start it's hard enough being a student athlete. You got all these different things that you have to juggle, classes, you got girlfriends, friends, football, study hall. I mean, it was a lot for student athletes before. Now at the D1 level, especially in the SEC, they're provided a tremendous amount of resources to help them juggle all that. Things that are not available to the basic student population in terms of academic resources and things of that nature. But I'm like, why is it? What is it going on that's not translating for him? And what did you see? Like, some players came out and just said flat out, I ain't worried about no NIL deal, because if I can't make the field, it ain't going to be worth nothing no way. Now, what did we see for Bo? Like, he got the Bojangles thing, and there was another one.
Milo's,
right? And then he signed like an interview exclusivity thing with some other content creator. If you're not starting, I don't know how much it's worth, right? So, this was one of those things where I'm just like, Bo is he's gonna find success at something in life. The good and the bad of this culture where we care so much about football is that regardless, people want to see results. They just want to see results. The people investing, the people buying tickets to every game, the boosters, right, and the people who are power brokering to bring in coaches. You think the guy who hired Harsin cares who starts at quarterback as long as they win? No, he does not. He cares that his coach that he hired is successful, and that coach is making decisions that lead to his ultimate success, which will be his successes. So, this world that is college football, what it's become, we talk a lot about the money machine. I'm all for students making their bread. So I hope nobody's hearing that. I just think there's so many dimensions to this. We just got to remember at the end of the day, this guy is really a kid. He's a young man. He's a young man, right? He's not a baby, right? But he's a kid. And in your early 20s, trying to navigate the process of becoming who you ultimately will be in life is tough sometimes, especially with all the pressures that come along with him being Bo Nix. That's the thing that I think where Gus really did him a disservice. He heaped so much praise on this kid and just put him in a position where he couldn't just be Auburn's starting quarterback. He had to be the savior of Auburn football. It was never fair. It was never fair to him. So, we may have to go back to Bo this season, guys. I'm not writing that off completely. So I want everybody to hear that too. We may have to actually go back to Bo Nix at some point this season, depending on how the rest of Bobo's offensive plan comes together here and where we end up. Injuries might necessitate changes at some situations. I just think right now Finley is the right move for the way that they clearly want to call the offense. It doesn't seem like this offense is adaptable to whatever Bo's strengths are. I had a guy arguing with me the other day in the comment section. It was laughable argument, but he said during Penn State that Bo was running for his life. And I was like, no, he wasn't. Now, he was getting pressure, but he wasn't running for his life. He conveniently changed the definition of running for his life after I said, hey, Bo only had 2 undesigned scrambles in that game, that whole game against Penn State. I thought he did a remarkable job staying in the pocket, actually, and trying to make the throws. The problem was he just wasn't seeing the field.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they corrected one part of it, and now they have this other thing that they have to correct with his field vision. Making the right decision. And unfortunately, the state of our offensive line lowers the margin for error in that decision making because you don't have 3 seconds to throw the ball. You got 2.5 seconds max on almost every throw. That's just where we are, guys. So if we're going to win games, we have until they can build this offensive line back up. You cannot just accept that you're going to lose games until you can fix it.
Right.
That's not a good plan. Like the fan base is not going to tolerate that, right?
Yeah. There's literally no way to fix the offensive line. Like the offensive line is what it is. You've got to figure out how your game plan is going to scheme around them. Let me just get this question in really quickly from Doug. When you go to Twitter and on here and Facebook and everywhere else, are you going to blame Bo when it isn't when Bo isn't the one or and it's TJ? The answer to that is no. I don't. So here's the thing. I don't think anybody's blaming Bo.
Yeah.
For anything. I'm putting responsibility on the game plan that's being called for Bo. Mm-hmm. But what I am saying is what Bo is responsible for is seeing a guy when he's open and hitting him. And he's not doing that consistently. I can't blame. Who do you want me to blame for that besides Bo? I just told you, I don't like the fact that TJ, when he saw a guy open, didn't hit him. Like I only blame the player for the thing that I think is in the player's control. Bo Nix can't call the plays himself. But what he can do is get the right pre-snap read, understand what he's seeing pre-snap and where he needs to go with the ball, and then delivering the ball accurately to that person. That nobody controls that except for Bo Nix. He can't control the offensive line. The offensive line, again, is what it is. If they're going to play poorly, then we need to scheme around those things, or you need to understand where your quick reads and quick throws are, or use your God-given ability and get out of there and run, right? Like, go do something else and make a play happen in some other way. I'm not blaming Bo Nix for anything other than the things that Bo Nix needs to do better. Well, I think we just need to improve some other things around him.
Well, real talk, if the narrative is going to be that we blame Bo for Auburn's issues, that's because you're only focusing on our criticism of Bo, because we've mentioned Shedrick's name for weeks now. We talked about how Tank didn't have a good game tonight. We have talked about the O-line. We've mentioned how Troxel has been getting beat. Like, we do watch the film and we actually break down what people are doing on every play. We're only holding people responsible for what's in their control, their assignment, what the coaches is asking them to do. And if you don't do that and it's hurting us in games, we're going to point it out. Conversely, we're going to point out when a player is doing what they're supposed to do. We gave Bo a lot of love in game one, if you recall. I know that was a long time ago, but I was excited to see Bo look off a receiver and hit Hudson streaking down the middle of the field for that touchdown. That was beautiful because I hadn't seen Bo do that. So we give people the credit for what they're doing, and then we call out things that gives us concern. I'm also concerned. We've been concerned about the coaching staff. We've been concerned about Bobo. We've been concerned about Mason and what he's doing in terms of zone defense, and how the question is whether or not that suits what the guys currently in the secondary can do. We've been very vocal about that. We've been vocal about a lack of a pass rush, right? Got a little bit better today, but I am still concerned about that moving forward. So there's enough criticism and praise to go around for this entire team, because it is definitely a team sport. And there are other aspects of the game in which we can definitely improve on that are question marks moving forward. How does the coaching staff goes about scheming around our deficiencies and leaning into our strengths? That's pretty much what we're going to have to figure out on both sides of the ball moving forward.
I'm looking forward to seeing what changes come about in our wide receiver core as a result of this.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm still on the train that I think there's a lot of talent there that we just haven't seen. It's raw and untapped.
Let me ask you a tangent question. I want to let you finish that point. What do you think happens with D-Rob after this?
I got to find out what happened to him tonight. Was
it
an undisclosed injury that we didn't know about?
Right.
I have no idea. Yeah, I wonder did anybody ask that in the post-game presser?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone did. I cannot wait to see what because I think he's been serviceable for us. I mean, I know he didn't have a great game against Penn State, but he's been serviceable. So I don't see why you wouldn't continue. I mean, especially if you're using, there's been people who've had worse games than him, and they're still being used in the game plan. So it has to be something injury related or some sort. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he did something wrong this week, and they were just like, "We're going to hold you out." But anyway, I want to let you continue down your point, Mike, about the wide receiver room, just what we should be or what we could potentially see as a difference in that.
Yeah, I mean, just guys like Xavion Capers and Malcolm and Canyon, who I've been real high on. I wasn't as high on Kobe Hudson. He's turned out to be, kind of a bright spot in this wide receiver core. I just want to see these young guys get some more burn. I think they've got an extreme amount of talent. It would be a disservice to our team to burn a whole year without catching those guys up on the field in terms of experience. Again, it's going to sound like we're beating down on Shedrick a lot, but I just is in his last year is putting the least talented guy with the most experience on the field, the best thing for your team long term. Now he caught the game-winning touchdown pass, which is great, but it was not a high difficulty catch.
No, it's probably the easiest catch he's had all season.
All the season, right? Yeah, and the quarterback had to escape, three guys and throw it perfectly, which was another impressive thing that I thought TJ did, was just to throw that pass with all the adrenaline that must have been pumping through his veins in that moment, to stay calm and just throw that ball at an easy ball sometimes, right where the receiver could make a play. Insane, man. I mean, he saved the Auburn fan base from an extreme amount of pain and suffering for the next 7 days. So he
saved your microphone probably from busting some sort of coil inside it, because if the halftime rant that you went on was indicative, for those of you who are not members, you will not get to relive that at any point in time. If you're a member and you want to see people talking about they want to see what Mike is like during a game, I don't think y'all really want to see that when we're losing.
Yeah, it's not monetizable. So I just think if we can just see, this is where Harsin shows what he's made of as a coach. If we can, I was impressed with the mass substitutions at the end. Wow, what a different team lineup he fielded in that fourth quarter than he did in the first 3 quarters. And you got to trust these guys, right? You've trusted guys who have barely played any snaps to go out there and make plays for you. We have barely seen Canyon all season. He comes in and he's making NFL type catches on the last drive to save the game. Those guys, let's hats off, man. We got to hand it to those guys. They came in cold as well, just like TJ did.
Mm-hmm.
I attribute some of the overthrows to just that, right? Timing and understanding where the guys are gonna be. I mean, they just went out there and played like backyard football for a drive for 98 yards and got a touchdown because they're the more talented team. Right? They went out there and they out-talented Georgia State on that drive.
That's exactly what it comes down to. We've got more talent. Line up, play football, and go beat them.
Yeah, man. So there are some things, despite the fact that it was Georgia State, there are some things that to celebrate about this that are markedly different from what we've seen in the past in terms of approach, in terms of changes. You know, J Rock, I hear you. I still have pain too, but I'm finding things to be encouraged about in this, despite what we saw for 2.5 quarters, because this might be the blessing that we needed to kind of wake up. Right? There's a danger in winning. Right? I mean, how many people dreaded that we had to play Georgia again in 2017 in that SEC championship game?
Yeah,
I was dreading it. Right? Because we won, and we won big the first time. And the danger in my mind was Gus is going to go with the same damn game plan, and Georgia's going to adjust because the team that loses has the advantage. Right? And in 2004, when we beat Tennessee twice, I don't think people understand how hard it is to beat a good football team twice in one season.
For sure.
LSU, Alabama that year when they met again in the national title game. LSU won, right, the regular season matchup in a snoozer, 9-6 or whatever, and then got blown out in the national title game. It's difficult to do. So, you know, in the games that we won, my worry was we didn't win. We won in the first 2 games, and like there were still some things that were obvious that we needed to clean up. I was worried about the wide receiver rotations. We kind of talked about the things that we were worried about. And then against Penn State, we got exposed. So I was thinking, okay, we got exposed, so we're going to make some changes going into Georgia State. Now, we did kind of, but then there were bigger changes that need to be made that took this game for us to make them. So they sent some different wide receiver rotations out there to start. So they learned something about wide receivers from that last game, but they didn't see it at quarterback just yet. A lot of us were there after the Penn State game. Our coaches, not quite. It took them 2.5 quarters of this one against an inferior opponent to see it and make the change. And I think that if they had let TJ come out at the half, we're not down to the wire. He could have gotten to the flow of the game a little faster. Like, I just thought after halftime, we're going to see him. And then when they sent him out here, I got to go back and look at the tape at what point they actually sent him to the game. It was like 6 minutes left in the third quarter, maybe. I think he got a drive or two in the fourth quarter chat. If you guys remember.
I think he got 2 drives in. He got one, and then the one that continued on into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. So
like, that missed field goal almost loomed so large in this game.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
because I honestly don't believe Georgia State even gets the ball back if we had made that field goal, because they would have gotten it down into field goal range and then just milked the clock, made Georgia State burn all their timeouts and try to kick a field goal for the win. But because we had to score a touchdown, they were like, forget the clock. We just need to score as quickly as we possibly can. Let me get these super chats in here. AUTJ fan says, love the rant. Mike, rant almost got me in trouble with the neighbors. Mike helped my pain. So a little therapeutic halftime rant going on there. Jazzy Joe says, yeah, when Finley scrambled for the TD, I almost dropped a deuce in my sock, but thank God it worked out, man. Yeah, it was definitely one of those things. Be Will in here in the chat again. If you are back and ready to hop on, man, you can definitely jump in here. We won't be on too much longer, but completely up to you. The Georgia State coach, not sure if you guys saw his comments after the game, feel like we were helped out by that call on the drop there. Let me just talk about that throw for a second. That was actually a really good throw from TJ. Like, it was low and away from the defender. It was where it needed to be, and it was almost a really great catch. I still don't think it was a catch, but I think it was a really good effort there by Schenker to get up underneath that throw. It's actually a pretty good throw and decision there by all parties. But Carlson missing that field goal again almost put us in a bad way, because we had not seen the end zone absent of a blocked punt for a touchdown that entire game. So anyway, we've been on here for almost 2 hours now. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark. Let's get some final thoughts in here from everybody. We've still got a whole show tomorrow. So for those of you who have been hopping in here, you are watching the post-game reaction. We are the War Rapport. We will be having our Sunday breakdown where we will get into this even more intimately. will be back on with us tomorrow so we can talk about it. But does anybody have any final thoughts before we get out of here for tonight?
Yeah. Again, very, very happy that we won. I'm very happy that we won. And going into LSU, right, they've got some preparation that they have to do to get this right in practice this week. So I'm sure the Monday presser will be as interesting as the post game was. A lot of people are going to want to know what the focus in practice is going to be this week. If you're making a quarterback change, you're coming into Tuesday practice with somebody else running with the ones. I wonder if those changes will be wholesale. I'm very happy that the fumble by Tank didn't come back to bite us either. But they certainly pulled him out of the game on that last drive as well, too. Right? Like, it was clear that our coach was done with mistakes by that last drive. He was definitely done with mistakes. So, I'm happy we won. I'm even happier that I got to experience it all with our chat this year. Hopefully there are brighter days ahead. Congratulations to the team on pulling out the win. Let's do better.
For sure.
Let's do better.
See what you got.
Let's get some guys healthy. Again, I'm not sure what was up with Tank, but hopefully these guys regroup. We got a lot of work to do on the offensive side of the ball in terms of the O-line, in terms of figuring out our receiver rotation, and obviously the elephant or the tiger in the room, the QB situation. So they got 7 days to do it, and I'm confident. I still believe in our coaching staff. I still believe that they can figure it out. This is year one. This is one of the things that I have to be reminded of. It's year one, and these guys have learned a lot from this team through practice and scrimmages, but now they're getting a lot of information in the game. And so the hope is that these guys who have preached about adjusting and the importance of adjusting begin to tailor their game plan around the guys who they can trust in the game. When the game is on, the lights come on. These are our guys who we can depend on to go and make plays for us. They're in our foxhole. Let's build a game plan around them so we can go out and win some games.
All right. I know you're just jumping in here. We are getting ready to sign off, but I did want to let you get in here and give your reactions, seeing it live right there in the press box. Any final thoughts and post-game reactions from you?
I mean, it looked exactly how it looked to everybody else on TV. I think the biggest thing was in a room full of people who are supposed to be impartial, and many of them don't care. They're covering the games, but they don't care about the games. The moans at the overthrows and the misreads and the poor plays by Bo, like, it was like, oh. And the defense too. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I think that surprised everybody. The big runs in the first half surprised everybody up there, and you're seeing it. It's like, really? But it was not a, man, I wonder if a change needs to be made. A change needed to be made. It wasn't like a question from anybody up there. You saw it on the field. You heard, like, again, you could hear, we want TJ. That's what it sounded like. We're in the press box, and Ike's been up there, CW been up there. It's pretty well insulated. You don't hear a whole lot of crowd. They were saying that loud enough for it to make it into the press box. That's I'm glad that decision was made, because something needed to be changed. Harsin fought back pretty hard against Brian Matthews. Shout out Brian Matthews over there at auburnsports.com, but he asked him specifically about evaluating going forward and CJ being the starter, and he pushed back pretty hard. Like, I'm not gonna let y'all push me into talking about that or making that decision outwardly. He said, we're gonna get to work tomorrow. Everybody will get to work and we'll look at them. Both of them will practice and fix things that they did wrong, but I don't know if it's permanent. And that's what worries me, is could we go back? And that's what I don't know. I don't know if we're going to go back. I don't think we have a reason to go back. You might not be sold on TJ so far, but how many opportunities has Bo Nix had to be bad? Give TJ that many opportunities. That's all I'm saying.
That's actually a fair point. If you're going to give Bo this many chances to be bad, why can't you give that many to someone else? That's a very fair point. All right. Well, we're about to get out of here, man. We appreciate everybody for hopping in here. If you don't know, you are watching us on the War Report. This is the post-game reaction show. We will be back at y'all tomorrow, giving y'all a little bit more of this breakdown of what we got going on from this game against Georgia State. Auburn pulls out the victory in dramatic fashion. See y'all tomorrow. As always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.